The situation on Lesbos is a result of European Union policies. The 2016 EU-Turkey agreement was a border externalization deal which paid Turkey €6 billion to prevent refugees from reaching Europe, despite the fact that Turkey was already playing a major role in the war from which the refugees were fleeing. The EU border regime dictates that asylum seekers must stay here until their claims are processed. That's why the population of Mόρια refugee camp has now ballooned to over 20,000. After spending 2 years living in Mόρια, Majid now dedicates himself to helping other refugees, but prefers to stay anonymous.
Now Mόρια is bigger. Now they change. The section A is for minors. Section B is for minors. Section C and D is for single women. But many women, single women live in Mόρια. It's not the safe space for single women.
So this space here is all the official camp? Right?
Only this is a space. It was for like 3,000 or 4,000 people. Okay. Now Mόρια more than 23,000 people.
Sirad and Fadouj escaped the United States' long-running war in Somalia against Al-Qaeda's affiliate Al-Shabaab. They never imagined that they would live in such conditions in Europe.
joogaa Mόρya musqul ma haysano qabow woon haya meeshaan waa meel aad u dhibaato kaliya ah.
Mόρια is a dangerous place as the coronavirus pandemic spreads. There are long queues for food, washing and drinking water. When there is no access to basic hygiene, it will be impossible to contain the virus.
labadii bilood saddex bilood hal mar dhaqanaa dharka waayo meelaha ku dhaqana xataa ma haysano waana laga awood badan yahay waana laga tiro badan yahay.
In mid-February, the Greek government began construction of 5 new refugee camps on the islands, but local residents, enraged at Athens and Brussels, paralysed the entire archipelago with several days of general strike. They took to the streets en masse and engaged in fierce clashes with riot police the government sent in from Athens.
Last week, many days demonstration because of new camp. Many police arrived from Athens with the guards at the night, like 2:30 at the night with the shift. They arrived immediately because of the new camp. And Greek people say we don't want new camp, and refugees also don't want. And NGO people also don't want the new camp because it's close.
After suspending building work and withdrawing the police, the government thought it had stabilised the situation. But then, on February 29th, Turkey announced that it would no longer prevent refugees from leaving its territory as a way of pressuring the European Union to support its war in Syria. The impacts of this decision were felt immediately on the beaches of Greece. The Greek government have announced they're sending up to 50 vessels to reinforce the sea border in the Aegean and that no new arrivals will be tolerated. But we've already seen 5 boats arrive on Lesbos this morning. This one's carrying around 50 Afghans with lots of young children. The response of the Greek government to the rise in arrivals goes beyond anything we have seen before. They order the Coast Guard to act forcefully, ignoring international law. A child drowns when he falls into the water south of Lesbos. Near Kos, footage shows Coast Guard firing live rounds into the sea. A boat is left adrift without an engine. The refugees launch several SOS warnings, but the Coast Guard and the Frontex operation don't react until 7 hours later. When it is finally towed into the port of Thermi, a group of local racists block the landing, hurling threats and insults. Kapios is the online persona for an anti-fascist activist investigating the extreme right on Lesbos. This new menace was born from the decomposition of Golden Dawn and the exploitation of the refugee situation. Due to death threats, he prefers to remain anonymous. Theodopoulos has revealed connections between fascist militants, politicians and police. He knows well those who shouted at the refugees in the port of Thermi.
Μείναν ορφανοί κατά κάποιο τρόπο σταδιακά από την ηγεσία της Χρυσής Αυγής, οι οποίοι τώρα έχουν κάνει ένα γκρουπ πάνω στο νησί. Δεν μπορεί να ξεχωρίσεις ποιος είναι με τη σβάστικα και ποιος είναι δεξιός. Είναι σχεδόν όλοι στο ένα σώμα, έχουν ενωθεί.
Some European extreme right groups visited Lesvos for propaganda purposes. The German neo-Nazi Johannes Scharf and the Irish fascist Rowan Croft got the brunt of the local anti-fascist reaction, which forced them to leave. Theodopoulos believes that European ties with local fascists are weak so far, and it is only the locals who carry out attacks.
Τους ήξερα από πριν. Δηλαδή δεν είναι κάποιος άγνωστο. Είναι άνθρωποι οι οποίοι είναι πρόσωπα που είναι επιχειρηματίες, βιοτέχνες, έμποροι, ταξιτζίδες, οι οποίοι συνεχίζουν να υφίστανται, να κυκλοφορούν στο Facebook και να συνεχίζουν να γράφουν σχετικά και να οργανώνουν.
We see the same anti-immigrant group from Thermi among the villagers from Mόρια, blocking access to the camp to prevent newly arrived refugees from being transferred there.
Χτες βγήκαν γύρω στα 250 άτομα σακτές. Το λιμενικό αυτή τη στιγμή τους προωθεί στη Μόρια και έχουμε σταματήσει την πρόσβαση. Δεν θέλουμε να έρθουν άλλα άτομα, γιατί είναι πάρα πολλά είδη.
Villagers blocking the road don't know what to do when a woman asks them to pass, so she can return some children to the camp.
People back to the camp.
Yes.
But can we
Who had spent the night sheltering in her house.
Κάτσε, αυτές πίνουν, συγγνώμη.
Όχι. Άσε είναι μωρά. Είναι μωρά.
Και πού πάνε? Κώστα, θα σε πάρω σε λίγο. Πού πάνε? Εδώ κοβαλάνε κι άλλοι. Κλείστε την κάμερα, παιδιά. Κλείστε την κάμερα.
We're on the road leading to Mόρια. Behind me, a group of locals have blocked the junction and they're refusing to let any NGOs get to the camp. On my right is a bus full of refugees, just some of the hundreds who have arrived on the island this morning, and the locals are refusing to let them into the camp. Among the locals blocking the refugee bus is Konstantinos Moutsoris, governor of the North Aegean region. He is one of the key players in the island's rebellion against Athens and Brussels. Moutsoris salutes the villagers. He moves among the demonstrators without a bodyguard, talking to everyone. Moutsoris is an engineering professor who took office at the last elections. In Lesvos, he ran as an independent, but supports the ruling New Democracy Party at the national level. He likes to remark that he is not a politician and does not mince his words.
There is an excitement lately in the last days here. So I think this is the main problem, the excitement of the local population, which of course is produced by the increased number of people coming. And the important thing is that people are arriving lately. They're not coming from the war, from Idlib, they're not coming from Syria. Very few people are from Syria.
Some of the people we've spoken to have alleged that you are actually much more involved in the protests and directing some of the protesters in order to put pressure on the national government. How would you respond to that?
I will do everything I can do to protect and to try to help local people who voted for me and who show me their love every day I walk into the streets.
Lorraine Lett is one of the pillars of the Lesvos Legal Centre, an international team of lawyers who fight relentlessly for the rights of asylum seekers. Although they were very critical of the previous government, they have witnessed how the arrival of the right wing in July 2019 has made the whole situation even worse.
They wanted to strictly enforce the EU-Turkey statement to its original intentions. So since they came into power, they've stopped the transfers of people off the island to the mainland for the most part. And so this has led to an increasing population on the island of asylum seekers.
Although he defines himself apolitically as with the people, Moutsoris' discourse on migrants falls into the same cliches as right-wing extremists across Europe.
People are tired, they have lost their lives. They cannot go to the hospital, to the public hospital, because it's full of immigrants. They cannot approach the doctors. The police cannot make its work because all the day is busy with problems in the camps. the local buses. They cannot use the buses because they are full of immigrants.
And we've seen that since this law has been implemented in January, there's a much higher rate of rejection of asylum claims. And then people to have no recourse to even appeal this usually, which means there's a growing number of people who are facing deportation to Turkey.
Yorgos Palis was the Syriza MP for Lesbos under the previous government. Like Tadopoulos, Palis believes that Moutsouros's involvement with local right-wing extremism is stronger than what the governor will admit.
Moutsouri was elected with the support of Mr. Athanasiou and with the extreme right people, and he gave also space to extreme right people. They use Moutsouri. The government used Moutsouri. Extreme right people that are in contact with the right parties is the history of Greece. It happens. They use them.
Roadblocks soon launch attacks on refugees, NGOs and journalists. Dozens of vehicles are destroyed and the facilities of various humanitarian organisations are torched. We witness the indifference of the police towards these events.
We just want to walk back to the Mόρια camp because there is no bus today to go back, and there is no bus and there is no taxi. And when we was walking to go back to the Mόρια camp, there was like 200 persons attacking with knives. They had everything. And we escaped. I want to say to the European Union, it's shame to you. It's shame. And I hope the day that European Union have a fight and war and they can come to our country, and I will show them that what's humanity.
Η αστυνομία στο νησί προστατεύει 100% τους φασίστες. Υπάρχουν αστυνομικοί οι οποίοι συνομιλούν στο Facebook με τους φασίστες ή βρίσκονται να είναι κατηγορούμενοι σε άλλες δίκες μαζί με τους φασίστες, σε εξύβριση ή απειλές κατά δημοσιογράφων.
In contrast to their inaction over attacks on refugees and NGOs, it is remarkable how hard the police work against the refugees. Many days we see riot officers preventing any black or brown person from being in the city centre and forcing them onto the bus back to Μόρια.
Γιατί δεν κάνετε καθόλου με όλα τα φασίστες, γιατί μόνο με τους πρόσφυγες.
Now we have problem. We cannot solve this problem you have now. Okay, come to the police station. Okay, to say whatever you want, not here now, we have another problem.
booliska wax ma noo qabanayo dhibaato badan aan meesha naga haysato waaye ani cunugane cabsi ah habeen kasteeto haaf waa seexdaa haafna waa soo jeedaa xiliga dadka ay soo kacaan jiifta xiliga kale dadka ay jiifana ani waa soo jeedaa waxa igu qasbayana duruufaha meeshan ka jira waaye.
When night falls, things become incredibly dangerous. We hear about robberies, stabbings, and even deaths in recent weeks. It's particularly unsafe for women. The fact that no new refugee camps will be built does nothing to improve conditions for those living in Mόρια.
gurigaas bacda aha ku hoyda gurigaas bacda ahna maxaa la dhahay qof raga xataa igula ma hoydo ani cunuga waaye ani cunugane cabsi ah habeen kasteeto haaf waa seexdaa haafna waa soo jeedaa xiliga dadka ay soo kacaan jiifta xiliga kale dadka ay jiifana ani waa soo jeedaa waxa igu qasbayana duruufaha meeshan ka jira waaye.
Il y a la maladie, les épidémies dans les toilettes. Donc on supporte tout. Par contre, les Européens viennent en Afrique pour prendre nos ressources. Ils viennent pour nous piller, faire la guerre en Afrique. Ils prennent toutes nos richesses. Nous on est malheureux. Je ne sais pas comment faire pour sortir de ces camps. Je sais pas, il faut être magicien pour quitter ici.